one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Monday, December 2nd, 2013 Board of Commissioners meeting. Before we get started, I have two announcements. The first is that the item number 2, the presentation of Canadian geese by the EAC, is going to be removed from the agenda because the members of the EAC couldn't make it to this meeting. So we'll reschedule that for an upcoming meeting. Second is, before we start with our beginning public participation, we have a very special guest in the audience, and that is Bill Thomas of Chanticleer. And I'm going to ask him to go ahead and come up. And he is here tonight to formally present to the Township the very extraordinary donation that Chanticleer makes to the Township each year. And we would like to receive that and show our gratitude. And I also would like to call up to the podium Kimberly Donchis, who is one of the leaders of the Big Tree Project that works in partnership with Chanticleer and the Township in getting some of these trees planted. So I'm going to come around and let's do this presentation. So first I'll do the presentation and then we'll have comments and then we'll have any commissioner comment.
I'm taking a picture.
Everybody's taking a mental picture. This is a certificate of appreciation, and it reads, whereas this certificate of appreciation is presented to Chanticleer for their generous donation in support of the new canine unit and tree maintenance throughout Radnor Township. This generous donation will help plant and care for trees to shade our streets, parks, and community, and to acknowledge and appreciate Radnor Township Police Department for their diligent efforts. Be it known that the Radnor Township Board of Commissioners recognizes the community partnership with Chanticleer and their generous donation to better serve the Township of Radnor. This is to honor Chanticleer, awarded this second day of December 2013. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm going to put this on your lovely wall. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is great.
May I say a couple things?
Yes, please do.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the certificate. I wanted to say that Chanticleer, the board, the staff, and our volunteers all feel very fortunate that we live and work in Radnor Township. It's a beautiful area with majestic trees and delightful parks and friendly, conscientious township employees, volunteers, and commissioners. And a diligent police department that protects the residents and our property. Since 2003, Chanticleer has shown its appreciation by donating over $550,000, including $200,000 to Radnor Township, $187,000 to the Radnor Fire Company, and $113,000 to the Radnor Memorial Library. This year, Chanticleer would like to donate $22,000 to the Township. We hope $20,000 will support fees for a consulting arborist and the purchasing, planting, and care of trees in the township, and $2,000 to support the police department's canine unit. We appreciate everything you do. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm Kimberly Donchis from the Radnor Conservancy, and on behalf of the Conservancy and the Township and all of the people and wildlife that will enjoy these trees for years to come, I want to thank Chanticleer Foundation for their enormous generosity. From the time that the Big Tree Program was proposed back in 2007, Bill and Chanticleer Foundation have been continuous supporters year after year, and I'm very, very grateful for their constant backing of the program. With the outstanding support of the Public Works Department and Steve Norsini and the Parks Department and Mark Dominic, the planning process has been a labor of love. But we couldn't have planted the over 300 trees we have in the ground without the township, throughout the township, or had the chance to hire a wonderful part-time arborist to help with all these things in trees in Radnor without Chanticleer's generosity. We have exciting plans for tree planting throughout Radnor in 2014, and I look forward to helping spend this donation for the greener good of the township. Thank you, Bill. You're the best.
Thank you. Well, and we all share that gratitude exponentially. And I also want to note that the Big Tree Project, Chanticleer's and the Township and the Radnor Conservancy's partnership is also a stormwater management partnership. And it goes a long way to replanting the great stormwater management tools that die, you know, a natural death, and we need to keep them replanted so that we can control our waters. All right, do we have any other comment on that?
I just wanted to mention that I first met Bill when he took over at Chanticleer, and we've been thanking Chanticleer, but I also think we should thank Bill for his service to the community. Bill served on the Shade Tree Commission, and indeed, back in 2006-07 timeframe, joined us when we did the very first survey of the unique trees that are in Nathan Valley Park. Most people aren't really aware of that, but the Evans Arboretum that was there is a historic arboretum, and you can look them up. They have a blog and some fantastic photographs. Bill helped us go through there, and we identified probably 20 or so very unique trees. We believe we have some of the original rhododendrons that were brought into this area, and recently we've been working to save a Zelkova, which we also believe might be one of the older ones in the United States. And Bill's help and guidance with those has been critical. Thanks again, Bill.
Thank you, and thanks for coming in. All right, I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor for any other public comment for those of you who can't stay for the regular meeting or would like to comment now. Hi, Sarah.
Sarah Pilling, 29 Garrett Avenue. Good evening. At the last commissioners' meeting, during a discussion of stormwater management, John Fisher and Don Curley got into a bit of back and forth about what our ordinance says about stormwater remediation by individual properties. And I believe I heard Don say, well, it applied to new properties only. The truth of it is, guys, we're not going to solve our stormwater problems unless each and every property does what they need to do to stop the water from being in our streets and causing flooding. And I'm going to use Garrett Avenue as an example. We are totally built out. We are old. My house was built in 1920. Fortunately, my downspouts do not run into the street because I'm on the east side and the land runs down. But there are, I would guess, almost every house on the west side of Garrett Avenue, their downspouts either run into the front yard, which is very shallow, or into the street. And they're going to have to change. That water is going to have to go backwards. They have very deep properties. And I'm only picking Garrett Avenue because I know it best. I don't know how we're going to do this. Perhaps there's going to be an incentive so that people will change their downspouts and have them run to the back of the properties, not into the street. But I urge you to realize that everybody's going to have to help pull the load if we're going to solve this stormwater issue. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Is there any other public comment? All right, let's go ahead. I'm going to announce that we had an executive session immediately preceding this meeting on December 2nd, 2013, and we discussed matters of personnel, litigation, and real estate. Next, can I have a motion to approve the Board of Commissioners meetings, minutes for the meeting of November 11th, 2013?
I'll move to approve the minutes of the Board of Commissioners meeting November 11th, 2013.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any commissioner comment? Any staff comment? Any public comment? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes 6-0. Next, we'll move on to the committee reports. First, we have Personnel and Administration with Commissioner John Fisher.
Excuse me 1 minute. All right, first up, I'll move to authorize and set the 2014 meeting dates as provided in our packet.
We have a second?
I'll second. And I have a question, Bob. There's some notes at the bottom, and it says Board of Commissioners, 6:30 p.m. Does that mean in 2014 you're proposing to start the meetings at 6:30?
That's correct.
Any other commissioner comment?
Is that in agreement with the charter? Does the charter have any time? Just the, okay. So do we want to have a discussion on this 6:30 start?
It's fine with me.
Well, I don't really have a strong, just sometimes it's difficult for me to make it from a client site to here and have a suit on the same hour. I don't know if anyone else is having that issue, but, because this would assume a 5:30 PM executive session,
My hope would be 6 o'clock.
6. Okay. Well, if it's 6, then it's really no change, so I'll support it.
Any other commissioner comment? Any staff comment? Any public comment? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes 6-0.
All right, next up, I'll move to authorize the advertisement of Ordinance 2013-22. This is approving an agreement of sale and purchase between the Township of Radnor and ESIII LP, a Pennsylvania limited liability company by its general partner, ESIII, Ardrossan LLC, for the purchase of 71 acres of open space for the possible enactment on December 16th.
Is there a second for that?
I'll second.
I want to just clarify, all this is a motion to advertise, so that in the next few days, this will be advertised, that there's a possibility, or that we would take a vote on the 16th. We can always decide that we're not ready to take it, but if it's not advertised, we can't take the vote on the 16th if we're ready. There is another hearing, I believe the 5th hearing on this will be Monday, the 9th, in this room at 6:30. And that's our 5th opportunity to have public input on this issue. And as I mentioned previously, this Friday, the 5th, we are hoping that the Phase 2 analysis, Thursday, the 5th, the Phase 2 analysis of our open space acquisition policy will be posted on the website for people to take a look at. And we'll be able to discuss that and hear your comments on it on the 9th. If this board feels after the 9th that we, for some reason, are not ready to take a vote, we can always decide not to do that. But this advertisement would give us the opportunity to do that if we feel like we're ready. Is there any other commissioner comments about this? Any staff comment? Any public comment? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 4-2. All right, next we'll move on to community development with Commissioner Don Curley.
Kevin Kachansky, will you lead us through item C, please?
Absolutely. Pro signs the applicant for Pet Supplies Plus, or the representative for Pet Supplies Plus, is moving into the old Rite Aid that's going to be soonly vacated when the new Rite Aid is occupied. They went in front of the Design Review Board, as is customary, to get approval of the new sign. And the DRB approved the application with several conditions. And I think the one that was most objectionable to the applicant was the size of the sign. They approved the sign with 18-inch letter heights. Currently, what is there are letter heights of 36 inches. The applicant had initially proposed heights of 26 inches, which is a reduction from what was there. But DRB found that objectionable and recommended approval of 18-inch letter height. Applicant appealed that. They submitted a letter to me, which was in front of you at your last meeting. I understand that you had some questions regarding that. The size of the sign that is currently there at the Rite Aid is 97.5 square feet. Our ordinance currently caps wall signs at 50 square feet. The applicant, through their letter, wanted to come in just under 50 square feet. I think it was 49.5 square feet with 25-inch letters. But DRB, again, proposed that at 18, which would be significantly smaller than what is there and what our code permits.
So can you kind of paraphrase what the reasoning behind, why anything above 18 was objectionable?
DRB, when they review the applications, tries to look at consistency throughout the districts in the commercial corridor. That is something that they have done on previous signs, on new signs, is going with an 18-inch letter height. What is there now is significantly taller than that. And technically, our ordinance does not mandate a letter height. They just go by sign area. So it's something that DRB took as their purview to, as one of the means of consistency is look at lettering height. I can tell you that there are a variety of examples of sign heights that are greater than that. They're pre-existing. There's no specific regulation that would limit it to 18. It's just something that DRB looks at for any new signs.
So Kevin, what they're proposing is compliant with all of our rules and regulations?
Yes, actually, they could go up to the height that is there and the size that is there at the 97 and a half. That's legally protected as a nonconformity. They wanted to meet the ordinance, so they brought that size down to the 25-inch and keeping it under the 50 square feet wall sign limit. DRB is asking for additional reductions beyond that. I don't see any need for it. I think that the proposal by ProSigns is appropriate, considering what is there is significantly larger. So it's not going to look out of place from what people are used to seeing.
Is there anyone here from ProSigns that'd like to say something? No. Yes, ProSigns. No.
So
Okay.
Kevin, your opinion is that we should grant this appeal?
Yes, I think the appeal is reasonable, considering the existing conditions that are out there.
And John Rice, we don't have any legal authority to deny it, do we? We would have, I mean, we could, but
Well, you could leave the DRB decision in place, but the code permits the board to modify the DRB's decision or,
but there's no binding authority there's no code authority behind this
no,
item.
it's in the eye of the beholder.
Very good.
So, on that line of questioning, if we didn't overturn the DRB decision, wouldn't the applicant just be able to appeal this at the zoning? What is the appeal process if they're
It's-
unhappy, other than with us,
It's just to this board.
right?
It's just another level of review. I mean, this is not your typical appeal that would go to like a zoning hearing board or a code appeals board. This is more of a formal opportunity for the board to modify whatever the DRB decides.
So John, do we make a motion to grant the appeal? What's the proper language we're doing?
Well, I think what Kevin's recommending is that you approve the sign as proposed by,
Okay. All
by
right,
the
then I make a
applicant.
motion to approve the sign as proposed.
Second.
Any other commissioner comment?
Well, let's just summarize what's happening here. As I hear it, Kevin, the current sign that Rite Aid Corporation has up there is 97 feet.
97 and a half square feet.
Square
with
feet.
36-inch high, the sign's 36 inches high.
And did you tell us what the current lettering is on the Rite Aid?
I believe it is 25 inches tall lettering, but the sign box itself, which is how you measure.
Is your question the
signs.
current Rite Aid lettering or the current?
Yeah, the current Rite Aid
He
lettering.
said 36 inches is the current Rite Aid lettering.
Well, he said that was the height of the sign.
Sorry, I was just looking at the pet supplies application. The analysis that the applicant provided has the sign at 36 inches tall, and they're going to propose it at 25. And the sign band
That's-
itself is 37 that currently exists, so the lettering would be at 36 currently.
Okay, so the lettering takes up almost the entire vertical.
Correct.
Currently. And they're coming in, their request is 25 feet,
25 inches.
inches, sorry. That's the lettering. And on the size of the sign itself, I was saying 97 square feet.
The current, yes, the current sign is 97 and a half square feet, and at their proposed, slightly reduced from what they went to DRB, it would be at 49.75. So the sign would now be compliant with the zoning code regulations.
Even though they would, as a non-conforming, as an owner of a non-conforming location or use, they could stay at 97
Correct, and they're
square feet.
abandoning that, so any signs going forward
Yeah.
would be limited to the 50 square feet.
Okay, so I think I have a pretty good picture. You're kind of the watchdog on this. If you're okay with it,
I think the request
would
is
be.
appropriate considering it does meet, it's a reduction of what is there. It's a great reduction from the existing nonconformity, and it now brings the sign into compliance.
So it's been moved and seconded. Do we have any other comment?
Yeah, I just wondered, has the DRB been consistent in the application of this issue, the sign height and whatnot?
I believe they have. This issue has come up recently with Sleepy's Mattress. There was an appeal for that, which the board did grant. Again, it was kind of what the applicant had requested. The board said no, and you kind of met in between. And I see that similar here, where you're kind of compromising and reducing a nonconformity.
Yeah, I just don't, I'm hesitant to overturn our boards unless there's some really strong reason to overturn the board. Maybe here a compromise would be appropriate. 23 inches, 20, something like that.
I only have, so Kevin, you mentioned that it's a non-conforming sign, but if their goal is to change the sign, why would they be grandfathered? So, that's like, at least my understanding of nonconformities, in my opinion, they wouldn't be grandfathered. The moment you change the lettering on the sign, it's a new sign. Is this a wrong interpretation? I mean, if I have a non-conforming garage and I tear it down and build a new one, is it still?
You can maintain the size of the sign,
But the size of the sign or the size of the lettering?
size of the sign, typically. I mean, even though it's a new sign, once it's up and it's been in place, it predates zoning, you can change the content, unless you have something in your zoning ordinance that addresses it. I think what Kevin's referring to is that they can have a 97 square foot sign, no matter what the lettering would be. If it gets changed, they're grandfathered in if they choose to.
It's because we're not
continue that.
specific enough in our ordinance to have a trigger. Okay, thanks.
Right, is there any other comment? Any staff comment? Any public comment? All right, I'll call the vote. All those in favor of approving this at the size requested, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And it passes 5-1 with Commissioner Nagel opposing.
John Rice, will you lead us through item D, please?
Mr. Keneally is here to, I'm sure, expand on this, but what is proposed is you have a letter from Mr. Keneally regarding Radnor Racquet Club, and what's being proposed is an amendment to an existing settlement agreement. I think this is the second amendment you've had of this original stipulation, which was, I guess, goes back to 1985. Maybe if Mr. Keneally wants to explain exactly what's occurring here. I think it has to do with there's an existing tent which is proposed to be replaced, correct?
That's correct. It's an existing tent that's been there for a couple of years at least, but the problem is that it's a temporary tent, and our code does not permit temporary tents. It has to be a permanent structure. So approximately in the same location, or actually in the same exact location, what Mr. Goodman's proposing is he's going to put a porch. So it'll be a roof, so it'll be attached to the existing structure. It would be a porch and like a patio area where you would also have, like you see in Wayne, sides that would drop, like tent sides could either be open or it could be closed by a temporary curtain-type structure. So it's really no different than what's there now. We had to go to the zoning hearing board because you may recall the use is a non-conforming use. And also there was a question that it was closer to the setback than the existing structure, when in fact it's not. It's the same. It's actually further from the setback than the existing structure. And I think the setback's 100 some feet anyway, and it's from the biomed site is where that setback would be violated if it wasn't non-conforming. So that's really it in a nutshell, that he's proposing to put a porch in an area where an existing tent currently exists. And because it was a settlement agreement between Mr. Goodman and the Board of Commissioners, we have to come back here to modify that settlement agreement. It's already been approved by the zoning hearing board. He went to the zoning hearing board and they granted approval.
So, and it would still be the same seating limit, what was
Yep.
it, 204 or
Right,
220
exactly.
or
Same
whatever it
seating
was?
limit as was imposed last time.
Okay, do we have any other questions or comments?
So I will move the approval of the settlement agreement.
Second.
All right, any commissioner comment or question? Any staff comment, questions? Any public comment? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to Public Works and Engineering with Commissioner Jim Higgins.
Yes, the first item is a subdivision on Hares Lane, and in particular, a request for the board to approve an on-site sewage processing or disposal system. I'm turning pages here to get it. So, Mr. Norsini, this is a Public Works matter, so I'll ask you to fill us
Actually,
in.
our township engineer, Mr. Phillips, is going to take this one.
What that is it's a resolution approving the sewage facilities planning module for the development that you had previously approved. These are the documents that get filed with DEP that allows them to go through the process for their on-lot systems.
I'm assuming there's no public sewer nearby, right?
This is, was proposed and approved as on-lot systems.
Roger, I noticed there's a memorandum in from the file materials from our Beverly Barnes, who is on our Historic Architectural Review Board and also is a full-time employee of the Delaware County Planning Department. And the memo is dated July 23rd, and she refers to an existing residence or dwelling unit on the property. Do you recall from the submittals made, is in the subdivision process, is the applicant planning to retain that structure?
No, the existing home that's on the site now is being demolished, and the site is being subdivided into 2 lots. And that's what this planning module is for the two new lots that would replace the 1 lot.
Okay.
So that existing home has on-lot sewage now?
Correct.
And is that type of thing you recycle or reuse, or do they have to build 2 new ones?
No, they have to build 2 new ones.
Okay.
So much for archaeological or historic preservation. They're tearing that 1940 cottage down.
I'm sorry.
And again, this land development has already been approved by this board. This is just a
All right.
follow-up condition for the planning modules.
I just wanted to clarify, I didn't hear a specific answer. Where is the closest sewer system that they'd be able to tie into? How far away is it? And
I don't know exactly. It's off the site.
It's probably bit off.
It would be on Bidoff Road.
Probably.
Would be the closest, yes.
This is going to sound like a really naive question, but I notice in your materials that there is no public water for this supply for this property. Therefore, there are going to be wells, or already is a well, or are wells. So the naive question is, who's going to look out for the separation or segregation of sewage from fresh water? How does that happen?
That's already been addressed during the land development process. There's minimum distances that need to be maintained between the well and the on-lot system, and this development conforms to that.
Okay.
And Commissioner, on staff, Doug Meter is also a certified sewage enforcement officer. So when he's out there inspecting the installation of the on-site sewer, he's also aware of the requirements for separation.
And he is the one that did the extensive report required by state of Pennsylvania. He did all the review and analysis and completed that. That's in our materials too.
That was from the applicant, that wasn't from staff.
His signature is on it, just as having approved it.
Approved,
Okay.
correct.
All right. I will then, I will move the approval of the request of the on-site sewage facilities planning module for 299 Hares Lane, which is Resolution 2013-137.
Is there any other commissioner comment or question? Any staff comment? Any public comment? All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 6-0.
Who was the second on
It was Kevin Higgins.
Kevin.
that? I didn't hear him.
All right. The next item is an application from Eagle Village Shops. It's an informal application at this point. We have a request made to Roger Phillips, I suppose it is, from the applicant here to make the presentation.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Neil Stein, representing the applicant. This is our architect, Jeff Martin. Also with us this evening is Dave Fiorello, our engineer. As Mr. Higgins indicated, this is an informal presentation. I know you're all familiar with Valley Forge Flowers. I hope you all are. And with their present location. This is actually an exciting opportunity, I would say, for Valley Forge Flowers to engage in a new segment of their business, one for which there's community demand, we believe, and to move into or to move that new segment of their business into an existing building on the property that's currently vacant. We have a PowerPoint presentation for you this evening. We'll endeavor to answer all of your questions this evening with the hope that you'll be supportive of the project. It is our client's desire, as most clients, to move through whatever the process may be with great speed and efficiency. So we hope that we'll be able to do this collectively as partners with the township. We hope you're pleased with what was done to transform the existing location with your help back in 2010, and that we can certainly build on that success. So with that in mind, I'd like to turn the presentation over to Mr. Martin.
Hello.
The project is going to be located in the northwest corner. It's a building that has been vacant. It's a difficult site for retail. It has no visibility to Eagle Road or Lancaster Avenue, and it has been used primarily for charitable events by the owner. We have the opportunity now to turn it into retail, and Valley Forge Flowers is going to expand into more of a garden center, and this building will be used as a garden center. Their existing facility will remain as it is, giftware, flowers, cut flowers, and the outdoor things will move to this new building. On the slide you see right now is the existing building, and you'll see there are 6 parking spaces on the north side of that building, and there are 3 bump outs on that side. The proposed site will remove those 6 parking spaces, and we will have a fenced-in exterior garden retail area. Those 3 bumps will be removed, and the circular bump that you see will actually become a silo. This building is going to be a barn, as if the whole village was a farm at one time. It's going to be called the Barn at Valley Forge Flowers. This is the existing building. You see kind of a hip roof pergola area. That's a walled-in garden, and that's going to remain. There's the front of it, which is actually the back of the site, but the front of this building. And this is the Valley Forge Flowers building that we did 2 years ago. This is our proposed barn at Valley Forge Flowers. This is the view from Valley Forge Flowers. You'll see our grain silo as the vestibule entrance, and you'll see the walled garden area. And we've got our fence. Every other segment of the fence is solid, and the in-between segments are transparent, so when you're in the parking lot, you can see what's in there. This is the view from the back of the site. And then here we have the floor plan of the building. It's a little distorted in this presentation, but you can see the round silo acts as a vestibule to bring you into the building. And you can see the fenced-in garden center. And just being cut off on the right of the page is the existing walled patio. Now, this building is currently a one-story building. You saw on the outside that it's gaining some height. In this building, the 2/3 on the left of the page is a cathedral ceiling following up that barn roof with all post and beam construction, and you'll see that barn shape inside with skylights at the top so that this can be an indoor growing area. The portions from the stairs to the right will actually become a 2-story section. However, that second floor, you'll see, is mainly mechanical. As with Valley Forge Flowers, where we did all geothermal heating and cooling and we collected the rainwater, we're doing the same here. So that second floor has a lot of pumps for our geothermal wells and our air handling units. You'll also end up with a 3rd floor walk-up. It's really an attic. The headroom in that attic goes from 8 feet in the center down to nothing. It will be heated because of the sprinklers, but will also be used for some storage. And I included this page to give you an idea. The top section shows the main volume, where it's really a 2.5-story space, and you can see the skylights at the top, and you can see the post and beam construction. And then the lower section shows where we have really the 2nd floor and then the 3rd floor attic space. That's pretty much what we want to do. I don't know if you have any questions.
So what is it now, or what was it before? I'm trying to visualize the space.
Years ago, it was actually a salon. For the last, I'd say, 12 years, it has been mainly used for, the owner has a charity art sale in there once a year. She has a charity dress sale in there once a year. Agnes Irwin rents that
So
space.
it was an event space?
Basically an event
Okay, I
space.
know where it is.
It's in the very back of the site.
Yep. And so I didn't see it, but are you going to need a variance for any of this, or?
No.
Okay. Any
No, we've already
waivers?
cleared that with Kevin.
Okay.
We do not need any variances.
And how about waivers? Are you aware of waivers that
I'm
you'll
not
be
aware of
asking?
any waivers that we need.
Okay.
No.
No waivers that I'm aware of.
Okay.
The current product that Valley Forge Flowers sells, in addition to flowers, what's this operation?
Geez, you could buy candles, candle holders, some glassware, just all sorts of giftware type
Okay.
things.
And with the barn, how are you expanding your merchandise?
She's going to have a lot of potted plants. Right now at Valley Forge Flowers, she has seasonal potted plants that she sells in the alley between Valley Forge Flowers and the little house shop. And she wants to expand on that, where you could go and buy some shrubs, buy potted rose bushes, things like that. She'll probably still have some sort of giftware items in there, but not to the extent that's in Valley Forge Flowers. She doesn't want to compete with herself.
Okay. She'll probably do well because we lost Waterloo Gardens
That's her hope.
a year ago, yeah.
That's her hope. She thought this was a good opportunity to try this.
Well, Valley Forge Flowers has turned out to be a great asset. It's a beautiful store.
Thank you. We've been very proud of it.
Well, it looks beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other?
Yes, Roger, your email indicates that they're requesting a waiver of the land development process?
That's correct. They would like to not go through the full land development process. And for the record, I have no objection to that. If you look at the plan as it's shown there, the vestibule area, which is that silo, if they weren't constructing that part of the building, this would not have to go through land development. It would be purely a grading permit.
And why is that? What's the trigger of the silo that makes it go-
Additional square footage
When
in a
a building's
commercial
over-
application.
When a building's over 3,000 square feet, the energy code requires that you have a vestibule. And so we're taking this opportunity, rather than taking space out of the inside of the building to do a vestibule, to add this to the outside. Again, this building has very low visibility. So our hope is that by introducing this silo, as you come into the Eagle Village shops, that this will attract attention to itself and make you want to go back there.
Okay. And so, Roger, from your perspective, then the trigger for land development is simply the silo in front, that's the vestibule that's producing the purpose that you just identified?
Yes.
Yes.
And the de minimis nature of it makes you supportive of the waiver?
Yeah, so and in this process, they're also actually slightly reducing the impervious coverage.
So if they're excused from the land development process, what opportunity is there for any type of public input or neighbor objection, if there is one?
Well, we will be at the Planning Commission tomorrow night,
You will be?
yes.
Okay.
Planning Commission usually makes a recommendation on the waiver request.
Oh, okay.
So they're still going to have to do a plan and
And the
lay
plans-
out
The
the-
plans have been done.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And we filed to go through the design review board as well.
Okay. Great.
So why not just go, if you're going to planning already, what's happening at planning if it's not a SALDO application?
It was filed as a SALDO application, just out of an abundance of caution. In this case, I don't know from a legal or procedural perspective whether it makes any difference if it's approved as a final land development plan or as a waiver of land development. Our hope is that whatever form it takes, you could take action at your December meeting, December 16th meeting, I'm sorry.
Okay, any other question or comment? Any staff question or comment? All right, well, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you for your
Good
time.
luck tomorrow. I hope you're
Appreciate it.
before the Villanova discussion and not after it.
I hope so too.
All right, thanks for coming in.
All right,
you.
thanks very much.
All right, so that wraps up what is on our agenda. Do we have any old business to take care of?
I have some old business. John Rice, we had introduced ordinance 2013-17 a few meetings back. This was an update to the parking legislation. So this,
Yes.
so 2013-17, and in that we had several sections. One of the sections had to do with turning a lot of our streets in the 7th Ward from parking on two sides to one side. I'd like to take that section out, section 2, which has a list of, so under ordinance 2013-17, which we tabled, section 2 contains a list of streets that would have new parking regulations. I'd like to take that out because there are other sections that were part of that ordinance that need to be passed to codify existing conditions. And I think it's important that that come back to the board at the next meeting for introduction. So again, without section 2, so we'll be taking, Barclayton Circle, Barclayton Road, Barley Cone, Blackfriar Road, and so on, that section out. There's section 3 will stay in because that's existing conditions, as I understand it. Just, again, moving these code sections into the new unified code section that you had created.
Right.
So we'll
So just removing the no they were all the no parking areas.
one side of, yeah,
In that list of streets, but the
Right.
rest of it, we can bring back as a
yeah, so.
new
again,
ordinance for introduction.
Exactly. So we'll pull section 2, leave in sections 1, 3, and 4 through 7. Because one of the sections, section 4 actually included a parking meter limit. So if we just scrap this ordinance, we would lose that parking meter enforcement. So we wouldn't want that. That's part of it. The other, I just wanted to follow up. We did a demonstration in the neighborhood with Bryn Mawr Fire Department. They did a drill on Barclayton Road, and it became very evident that the fire service was not able to drop a fire line, a water line, to a hydrant because cars were blocking the roadway. So we were doing a demonstration. We didn't expect it to turn out that way, but the trucks were basically boxed in by cars, and they were unable to run a line to a hydrant. So What I'm going to ask is that we put this back on staff traffic for review. Bob Zinkowski, if you can have that put on staff traffic. The point is that the residents, while they recognize the danger and the concern of the fire department, that they're also interested in creative ways to, remedy that issue without losing all of their parking. So if we can have that back on staff traffic. And I'll plan to have another demonstration out in the neighborhood in January to follow up with that. But it clearly, I don't think there was anyone there in attendance that would not agree that there was an issue. The ladder doesn't have the ability to deploy if it's parking on both sides. And worse, the fire truck isn't able to run a water line to a fire hydrant. So that's just one example. But I have assured the neighborhood that we would pull that and not try to enact that legislation until we have more time at staff traffic. No further on that.
Okay, any other old business? Any new business? Any public comment? All right, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? We're adjourned.